Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be sharing my November book haul with you. I actually feel like I got less books this month than normal, though there is still 4 piles in front of me, so we do have a little bit to get through. But I got a lot of special editions yet again this month. I had a lot of them shipped, and then there were some like new release special editions that I got, so I'm going to start with those, then move into some backlist books. So I'm going to start with like special editions, move into, or special editions slash new releases, because I'm just kind of gonna pick up what comes up in this pile, and then I'll move into some of like the backlist books that I got this month. So first of all, I finally broke down and I picked up an eBay copy of Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the beautiful, beautiful Fairy Loot edition, and also best news ever, I finally got to subscribe to Fairy Loot. I finally got my invitation in my email like a couple of weeks ago, and I immediately subscribed. So no more buying these books on eBay for me, thank goodness, because this one especially was like very expensive, but it's beautiful. I love it. I'm really excited to have it for my collection, and I really enjoyed it. I love these sprayed pages. These are probably like my favorite sprayed pages in the world. I love that there's a fox on it. I love the broken heart. I just think that it's so pretty and it's so fitting for the story. And then just to show you, this is the end paper. And then look at the beautiful naked hardcover, like, and then also the dust jacket underneath too. Like, just everything about this is like very Kristen. I love it. Then my Illumicrate copies of The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door arrived. I'm pretty excited about these. I read The House in the Cerulean Sea earlier this year. I really enjoyed it. It has very lovely sprayed pages, and Illumicrate did a pre-sale for these 2 books. I have not yet read the new one, but I figured that I would probably enjoy it since I enjoyed this one, so I ended up ordering them, and now this one's on my TBR. And these are the really pretty pages for this one. These are what it looks like underneath the covers. Then I got this absolutely gorgeous newly released bind-up edition of Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. I talked about this in a previous news and stuff video. I pre-ordered it the moment that I found out about its existence. It is so beautiful. I really love it. This is what the pages look like. I just think this is like a really stunning, really gorgeous edition. I honestly think that I would kind of struggle to read it because it is pretty heavy. I'll probably stick to reading my individual copies, but as like a lover of Lord of the Rings, this is something that I'm really excited to have on my shelf. Then I got the Waterstones Illustrated Anniversary Edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's actually kind of interesting that they would already have an anniversary edition of this book because it's only like a year old. I don't know why it's celebrating a year anniversary, but I'm not complaining because it's really pretty, so I obviously purchased a copy and their marketing work done me. I really like this story. This again also has some really pretty sprayed pages. The end paper depicts one of the iconic scenes right in the beginning of the book, and it's also signed by Victoria, so this will go right on my Victoria Schwab shelf. Then my copies of the Dark Artifices shipped. So Fairy Loot did collector's editions of the Dark Artifices. The main cover is like pretty similar, just like in a color, and I don't really care for that very much, but what I do love about it are the pages. So this is the first book, Lady Midnight. We've got Emma and Julian here, and then the naked hardback is really pretty. So I'm thinking that there's a good chance that I will take the jackets off of these. Then we have book 2, Lord of Shadows. We've got more runes on the pages, and we've got Christina, Mark, and Kieran on the end papers, and then again, really pretty naked hardback. And finally, the most ridiculous book in the series, Queen of Air and Darkness. This was quite the conclusion. This again has really pretty runes on the spine, and then we've got Herondale over there, and then this is the naked hardback. And just together, I think this is just like the prettiest colors. Moving on to the book that I am so excited to have in physical form, and I have 3 copies, and that is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. This is your basic copy. This is the original cover. Random House actually sent this copy to me, and I'm so grateful to them for that. Then I've got the Fox and Wit edition of Lore Olympus. This was the first special edition of it that I ordered like way way long ago. It has these really, really pretty like magenta pages. I initially ordered it because I knew that the pages would be sprayed and I wasn't really sure like if anyone else was going to be doing editions. Illumicrate announced a special edition, so I obviously ordered that one as well. I really like the pages on this one. It's kind of like an ombre of like the blue into pink, so it's like Hades and Persephone. This is just like such a beautiful story. I love it so much. I literally wake up every Sunday and read the new installment, and it's just like so good. If you haven't read Lore Olympus and you like Greek mythology at all, you like absolutely have to start this one. And you can like, if you read this first volume and love it, you should just go on Webtoon because you can read the entire thing for free. And oh my god, it is a good life choice. Then I have the Waterstones exclusive edition of Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kozniar, and I happened to just stumble upon this one on Waterstones. I hadn't heard anything about it beforehand. I found out that it was a Nutcracker retelling, and I was like, I'm in. And again, really, really beautiful pages. I'm so excited to read this story. It's on my December TBR. I mean, what better month to read a Nutcracker retelling? I'm really, really hoping that I'm going to love it because this book is just so beautiful. Then I signed up for the Illumicrate After Dark subscription, which is their romance subscription service, and I think that they only do them quarterly, so it's once every 3 months, but this month they did All the Feels by Olivia Dade, and they had an option to add on Spoiler Alert, which is the first book by Olivia Dade. I haven't read it yet, but I just like know that it's going to be a favorite, so that's why I decided to spring for it. But I think these are really pretty. They also have some really nice sprayed edges. It's also signed, and it's really nice because a lot of authors just like sign their name, but this one actually says, "Wishing you love, joy, and your very own happy ending. Love, Olivia Dade," which I think is just like such a nice touch to add to a special edition. And then let's see this one. And then this one also has like a more personal message. It says, "If you ever live out the only one bed trope in real life, may it bring you just as much delight as it does Alex." So I guess I have that to look forward to in this book. And then lastly, also from Illumicrate, this technically arrived in December, but it is their November book of the month. It's Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This sounded so good to me, and it was supposed to be a standalone, but it was recently announced that the publisher bought a book 2 in the series. It's called Painted Devils, I believe. So I'm pretty excited to give this a read. I think this cover is just like stunning. Like as soon as I saw the artwork, I was like, wow, I definitely want to read that. And then when I read the synopsis, I was like, okay, this sounds amazing. It's kind of like a heisty kind of novel. This also has really beautiful sprayed pages, and my battery died, and then this is below the dust jacket. So then moving on to new releases, I have The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is book 2 after The Bone Shard Daughter, which I was supposed to read in November and didn't get to, and pre-ordered this one before I read the first one, so oops. But I do have a feeling that I'm going to love it, so I'm not really too worried about it. And I'm hopefully going to get to it very early in 2022 because I'm not putting pressure on myself for December. I'm just gonna like read what I feel like reading. Then I have a finished copy of Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This was sent to me by Simon Teen, so thank you so much to them for this copy. I'm really excited to read this duology. It's one that I'm definitely planning on prioritizing for 2022. I have a feeling that I'm going to end up loving it. I also got The Wedding Ringer by Carrie Rhea. This one was sent to me by Berkeley, so thank you so much, Berkeley, for that. I thought the premise of this one sounded so good. This one is about a blogger who finds her fiance in bed with her best friend. So she ends up getting a job where she performs at children's parties. I believe like dresses up like a princess, and then she has a chance encounter with this woman named Maisie, and Maisie needs another bridesmaid, so she offers to pay Willa to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. And then Maisie and Willa actually start forming like a real friendship. I believe Maisie's fiance kind of like grows on Willa, and then she kind of like realizes that maybe there is romance out there for her. I have absolutely no idea how it's going to end. I imagine she's going to end up involved with either Maisie or the fiance, but I don't know which one. But yeah, I'm excited. And I think this cover is so cute. Then I have All of Us Villains by Christine Lynn Herman and Amanda Foody. I'm so excited to read this one. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year. I had it pre-ordered again since the moment that it was announced, and I'm so excited to have a copy in my hands. I believe it's going to be a duology, so the second book should be coming out next year. So I just have to decide how long I feel like waiting in order to have a conclusion. Then I have The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the fourth and final book in the Books of Babel series. I read Senlin Ascends earlier this year, absolutely loved it. I've been meaning to continue ever since, but I've been getting distracted by so many other things. So again, this is another series that I want to prioritize for 2022. I love that it's completed. I love that I'm not going to be waiting for that conclusion. And I'm very excited to have all 4 books on my bookshelf because I feel like just having read Senlin Ascends, I feel like this is a series that I will definitely keep in my collection. Then Random House sent me a copy of You'll Be the Death of Me by Karen M. McManus. I'm really excited to read this one. I've read most of Karen McManus's other books and I've enjoyed most of them. I think that she's a really fun writer and sometimes like I'm just in the mood for like a good kind of cheesy YA mystery, but I've been hearing really good things about this one, so I'm pretty excited to check it out. And now that I'm like just about finished with the Holly Jackson series, I'm definitely going to need a new YA thriller to tide me over. And Random House also sent me a copy of Kith and Kin by Marieke Nejkamp, and I'm so excited to read this one. I've talked about it a couple times. Again, this was another really anticipated book for me. It follows Vex and Vax from the first campaign of Critical Role, which is Vox Machina, and I'm so excited to get to know the backstory for these characters prior to the animated show coming out. Very excited, and I actually have 2 copies of this because Random House sent me a copy, and I also purchased my own copy so that Andrew and I could attend the virtual fireside chat. Happened like last week. It had the author and it also had Laura Bailey, Liam O'Brien, who play these characters, and it was moderated by Mika Burton, and it was a lot of fun. Then I pre-ordered a copy of Archangel's Light by Nalini Singh. This is the latest book in the Guild Hunter series. I purchased a copy of this so that I could attend Nalini Singh's virtual event that was with Jennifer L. Armentrout, and then I ended up being way too tired to do so. My dad came into the city and me, him, and Andrew walked like something crazy. It was like 13 or 14 miles or like something ridiculous, and I was just like dead when we got home, and I couldn't even bring myself to like stand to get to our computer so that I could watch the event. So good job, Kristen. Then I have What Once Was Mine by Liz Braswell. This is the newest book in the Twisted Tales series that Disney has been releasing. I'm planning on reading the Frozen book this month. I'm really excited to do so, and I really want to catch up on these. Rapunzel is also like one of my favorites, so as soon as I saw that this was the newest one, I was like, wow, insta-buy. So I'm gonna read the Frozen one. This will probably be the second one that I read, or Little Mermaid, not sure. But yeah, I want to like make my way through these probably next year. I don't know if I'll commit to reading like one a month, but I definitely want to read a lot of them. Then I have Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is a romance book, and it is the story of Hades and Persephone. I'm really, really excited to read it. If you can't tell with Lore Olympus, I am quite taken with the Hades and Persephone story. So I'm just excited to read another iteration of it. I'm actually reading a Hades and Persephone book right now too. I'm reading A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett Sinclair, which was in my book haul last month. So I feel like I'll get to this one shortly after, and it'll actually be my first Katie Robert book. I know she's talked about like so much here on BookTube, and I've always been kind of curious about her Disney villain romances, but I think I'm going to start with Neon Gods and see how I feel about it. Then I have Victor and Nora by Lauren Miracle. This is a Gotham love story. This is the story between Mr. Freeze and the love of his life. So I expect that this will be the kind of origin story about how Victor Freeze turns into Mr. Freeze, the Batman villain. I'm curious how much of it will be like cutesy love story, but like I'm a little bit worried because I feel like the end is just going to be tragic. So we'll see how this goes. Then we added another Dungeons and Dragons book to our collection. This one is Waterdeep Dragon Heist. This one I believe is a module, so it has like an adventure story in here that you can use as a campaign for a Dungeons and Dragons game. Then I got Star Wars, The Essential Atlas, and this is just like a fun, it's actually a paperback book. It looks like it would be like a pretty hardcover, but it's like pretty floppy, but it's just like a book that talks about all of the different planets within Star Wars. Looks like it was published in 2009, so it's probably missing all of the planets from the most recent trilogy, as well as the planets from like Rogue One and Solo? I don't know, would Corellia be in here? I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm excited to read it. I got these very pretty editions of Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabe Rodriguez. I read all of these in single issues when they were being released back years and years and years ago. And I did have the hardcovers at one point, but I ended up unhauling them before we were moving because they're just so heavy. But I ended up finding bind-ups. So these actually have 2 volumes in each of them. The 3rd volume of this is currently out of stock, but I'm waiting for it to come back and then I'll get that one too, so that I'll have all 3 for my collection. Andrew and I actually just watched the 1st season of the Lock and Key show on Netflix too, and it's made me kind of like want to reread the comics because the comics were so much better than the show. The show was fun, but the comics were like a lot better. Then I have Star Wars The Life Day Treasury. So Life Day's been making a comeback this year. Disney finally has acknowledged Life Day. We got the Lego special about Life Day, and there's also been like a whole bunch of merchandise released in Galaxy's Edge to celebrate Life Day, which has just never happened in the past. So it's pretty exciting. And this is just like a collection of short holiday stories set within the Star Wars universe. And then on the back we have Chewie and Fam. Then I realized that there was a library edition of Avatar: The Last Airbender comics that I did not own. So I obviously had to rectify that situation. This one is The Lost Adventures and Team Avatar Tales. I think I actually might have had paperback versions of The Lost Adventures, but I really like having these pretty library editions. I think that they look really beautiful on my shelf, and Avatar is like an all-time favorite show for me, so I was very excited about this. Then I got The Art of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So this just includes like all of the artwork of Galaxy's Edge that was used to design the park, and I'm really, really excited to flip through this. Andrew and I have not had the opportunity to go to Galaxy's Edge just yet. We still are hesitant to be traveling, especially now, but hopefully 2022 will be the year. And then lastly, I have 2 volumes of manga to share. So the first one is Wodokoi Volume 5, Love is Hard for Otaku. I actually went to like 3 or 4 physical bookstores looking for this, including Kinokuniya, which is like the manga bookstore, and it was out of stock everywhere. So I had to order it from Amazon. It was my only option because it was just sold out everywhere. But I'm really excited that it has arrived, and I need to catch up on the series because this anime is like one of my favorites. And then last in the haul is Codename Sailor V Volume 2. I believe this is the final book that Viz is printing in the Sailor Moon Eternal editions. I'm not certain if they're doing the short story collections. If they are, they haven't showed up yet in like my recommended feed. But yeah, I love Sailor Venus. She's actually my favorite, and I'm very excited to add this to my shelf, and I think complete my collection with this one. I just love like the full color pages in here. There's the rest, like the majority of the manga is in black and white, but the color insert pages just are really pretty. So that is everything that I picked up in November. Like I said, there were quite a few books despite it feeling smaller than past hauls, or maybe it's just that I had read a lot of like the special editions already, so I technically didn't add like too much to my TBR, which is always a plus. Let me know your favorite books that you picked up in November, and also let me know like one book that you're really looking forward to reading in December before the end of the year. And that's all that I have for this video, so I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!